So, welcome to Dominate Your Day, Terry. We're so glad to have you here. And I'm excited to hear that I've got a almost fellow Texan, right? You kind of were here and then moved to Spokane, but we're glad you're here today.
Well, thanks, Dave. I
I,
appreciate being here, and I really appreciate what you're doing on this podcast, helping people dominate their day. I mean, we're all given a certain amount of days. It's what do you do with them? So I appreciate what you're doing with your listeners.
yeah, and you just made remind me of something. I was at a funeral yesterday and just unexpected friend tripped, fell, died in her
Wow.
backyard. And we're like,
Wow.
you know, and the whole message was, we're our days are numbered,
Yeah.
and how do we make the most of every day
Yeah.
and make every day count? And that's what we're doing here. And so I appreciate you being on the show today. Terry, you have an interesting background. Can you tell us a little bit about your journey of, I think you're military and you have your own business now, and then kind of how you got to speaking, TEDx speaker, all that. Our listeners are true difference makers. They want to make an impact, and you've done that with your speaking. And I'd love for you to tell your story, how you got there.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for asking. We'll have some fun here, and I'm hoping that for all the listeners that we're going to give you some helpful hints here today. Also, we want to give you some meat and potatoes, some concrete to take home and be able to work with right away. So you might want to get out your pen and paper or whatever you write with for some notes. Hopefully, we'll say something interesting enough for you. But my my
Yes.
background and people read my bio and stuff, and quite frankly, I don't know who that is. Now, Dana, you're in the Dallas, Texas area. You've heard of McAllen, Texas, and
Yes.
that's my hometown. And for everybody that doesn't know, McAllen is literally the poorest city in the entire United States of America. A small Texas Mexico border town. You've heard of it in the news. You've heard of McAllen. And don't get me wrong, I love my hometown. I do. I love the people there, great memories, fantastic food, but it can be a little rough growing up there sometimes with the gangs and the drugs. In fact, I was on the wrong end of an assault rifle in junior high in my own back
Mm,
alley. So
oh
14
my
years
God.
old, I interrupted the wrong guy doing the wrong thing at the wrong time. 14 years old, wondering if my next breath would be my last breath. That's when I was in junior
Yeah.
high. When I was in high school, my dad, was killed. Before he died,
Mm,
one of the neighbors came up to him and said, I just want to make sure you understand something. Those three boys of yours, your three sons, not a single one of them's ever going to grow up to be anything.
mm,
So that's my background. That's where I come from. And the
mm.
and the reason I tell that story is because a lot of times we think that we're not worthy, that we don't have a story to tell, that people are doing so much better than we are. We've got something in our background. We've got these self-doubts, we've got these fears, these things that have happened to us, the things maybe that we've done that
Mhm.
disqualify us from making a difference in the world. And nothing could be
Mm,
further from the truth. I'll say this last thing and turn it next to you. Folks, if you're kind of relating to any of that, understand this. People aren't looking for some silver spooned imposter who's always had life great. Everything's been fantastic for them. That's not who they're looking for. They're looking for somebody who's been in the trenches, who's got the bruises, the cuts, the sweat, the dirt, the grime, the stories to tell, and the lessons learned from it. And if that's
mhm.
you, then you're the person they need to hear from. Back to you, Dana.
Yeah, and I think several things, Terry. I think one of them is so many people are, and I see this in the corporate space, been there 25 years now, coaching and consulting for 5. And I was with a group this morning, same thing. The one thing they raised their hand on, we were talking about emotional intelligence and strengths. The one thing they raised their hand on is they want to be more authentic in the workplace.
Good, good.
And I think the challenge is that many people are living off of external factors instead of internal factors. And when you said, I look at that guy in that story and say, who is that?
Yeah,
That's you, that your unique story
yeah.
and how unique you are. So how did you get through those rough times, losing your father, having a gun pointed to your head, and then losing your father, and then just all the challenges you had? How did you get to those next spots in life and make those pivots?
Well, I think a lot of it, at the time, of course, is you're just moving forward. You're just moving forward. But you can make the choice, and everybody's heard this before, so I'll just say it very quickly. Is you've got a choice to make. Are you
Mhm,
going to be pulled down? Are you going to wallow in the muck and the mire and the feeling sorry for yourself? That's a choice. You can choose to do that. Or you could
mhm,
choose to use that as fuel for your fire. You know what? You want to
mhm.
tell me I'm never going to grow up to be anything? You know what? That's not the way it's going to work out. Go ahead.
And it sounds like listening to your story earlier in the green room. Wait, your brother, both brothers are, all three of you are doing amazing
We're
things,
very
right? Your
blessed.
brother,
Yeah.
an astronaut. You have a brother that's a dentist, and then you're speaking all over the country and writing books and doing things. So, don't you want to go back to that neighbor and tell him
Well,
we
so
can go?
I'll go ahead and tell you this story, and I haven't talked about this too much on podcast, which makes it even better, right? So
Good.
we know who he is. All right, we still know who he is, and that's okay. He still lives in McAllen, Texas, and but he probably has to bite his tongue, probably about every day if he's watching TV or listening to the radio. And by the way, my name is Terry L. Fossum. My brother's name is Mike Fossum, the astronaut. And so he's probably got to bite his tongue when he's listening to the radio, watching TV, and sees something about Michael E. Fossum Middle School in McAllen, Texas, the school named after
Oh, wow.
my brother. How about them apples, huh?
I love it. I love
Isn't
it.
that
That's
great?
awesome. Well, sometimes it's just, letting him see that and not having to put it in his face, but going, "Oh my gosh,
Well, and
this is
you know, I, I
didn't destroy."
I tell the story just because that's part of our background and the odds that theoretically were against us, but I don't tell it because we look back at that at all. I don't. Hey, I hope the guy's doing great.
Yeah.
It has no factor in my life. It didn't then, and it certainly doesn't anymore.
And doesn't that even speak to, I mean, I can remember being a child and having people say things to me and that kind of stuck with me that weren't true. And you're like, man, where did that come from? And you have to kind of look at that and go, that's not true.
No, just live the
And
truth.
so, yeah, yeah. So, how did you find your authentic self? How did that happen?
I'm sorry. Say that again.
How did you find your authentic person inside of you when you started growing up and started all the things you did and then became this speaker? How did that happen?
I think a lot of it was, and I grew up a lot during the 70s, and there was a whole lot of plastic. And I mean that in
Mm,
all the different ways. It's supposed to be, I don't even remember the book anymore, but, take care of number one and, all this kind of stuff and show off and all that. I just never related. It just never was me. And I've got to give a shout out to Scouting America, too. We're all three Boy Scouts and all three Eagle Scouts. So we're out there getting dirty and we're being taught the Scout Oath and Laws. We're taught things that put other people before ourselves. So it's not about being fake and all of that. It's just about being you. And sometimes that's your sweaty, dirty, nasty, whatever self, but that's your real self. And
mhm.
and don't, well, again, I'm sure you've heard everybody say, don't worry about what you're seeing on social media. That's not real. Just be you. That's all that matters.
That's right. Well, what was a pivotal moment? Was it during those scouting days, or was it later when you got into into military or your career that you started realizing that you could be a speaker?
That, I tell you. So I was trying to think because I've been very blessed, and I'm not sure what'll end up in the bio, but in the Air Force, I had an amazing career. I ended up being the executive officer for an entire group of nuclear B-52 bombers during the Cold War, and many other things. Officer of the Year at Fairchild Air Force Base, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. All these awards. Civilian world ended up in the top fraction of 1% of my entire industry in the world. Philanthropic world have helped raise millions and millions of dollars for philanthropic projects that were important to me. And okay, that's all rah, 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 rah. Who cares? Here's what I finally attributed that to two things. Number one, attitude. Protect it like your
Mhm,
life depends on it because it does. And if you don't read up
mhm,
about attitude every single day, do it. But the other thing, Dana, that I finally came to realize is speaking. So I
mhm.
come on to the Air Force Base up here, Fairchild Air Force Base. I'm just some dude in a brand new career field nobody's ever heard of. And all of a sudden, I'm out front. I'm out front. They've got me emceeing the different wing events. I'm running these different things because they're seeing me up front, even just emceeing something. Therefore, I'm obviously a leader. And I kept honing those skills and honing those skills. And the career went amazing for me when I got into the civilian world as it was direct sales. So, wait a minute, that means I need to get up on stage to be part of the top fraction of 1% in the world. I need to be up on stage. Okay, then I'll get up on stage. to help raise millions of dollars for philanthropic projects, you're going to have to get in front of people. To make a difference in the world, you're going to have to do it. That's all there is to it.
So why a TED Talk and how did that happen?
Okay. The TEDx stage is the biggest stage in the world today. That's what it is. If you want to be considered an expert in your field, you need to book a TEDx talk. And let me, for everybody's going, what is the X? TED Talks are the national one that are in the one locale. TEDx are everywhere, like TEDx Spokane, TEDx Dallas, TEDx Copenhagen, whatever. And my story from there was, okay, so I had a book and I think I sold like 4 copies. Only 2 were to my family. They were free. So, that didn't really count. I had a coaching business and I had a couple of clients, but not a whole lot. Speaking. Yeah. If somebody would listen to me, I would be speaking for free. And that's just the way it was. I felt like my voice was a whisper in the wind. And then I booked a TEDx talk. But I learned a lot along the way. I bought a program and they taught me a little bit. It wasn't nearly enough, but I learned some extremely important things about booking a TEDx talk. And then when I booked mine, it became the number 2 new TEDx in the world. It was named one of
Wow.
I was blown away, man. It became named something like one of 30 most impactful TEDx talks of this century. And
And why do you think that is? What
several
did you do?
Yeah,
Yeah.
several things. There's a lot of strategy to it, and we can talk about public speaking and some really important things right now here if you like. But
Go for it.
okay, let's
Yeah.
do that. Okay, first of all, let's talk about getting a TEDx talk. And again, if you've got a point of view, if you really want to make a difference in the world, and that's what this podcast is all about, this is your way to
Yes.
do it. And that's why right now my main focus right now in the world is helping people book TEDx talks and blow the doors off it because they're not all created equal and not all of them go viral. If you want your idea to get out there to the world, you can do it. If you want to be considered the expert in whatever your coaching field is, your book, whatever it is, this is the way to do it. First of all, everybody wants the TEDx slots. They are in high demand. So how do you differentiate yourself? Okay. Everybody, this
Mhm.
is where you might want to take some notes here. Number 1, your idea has to be completely unique. If your idea is you've got to have a great attitude, it ain't going to happen. Right?
Right.
That's not unique. It's got to be countercultural, perhaps even sound counterintuitive. It's got to be different than what everybody else is doing. As one example, one of my clients is Larry Namer. He's the billionaire founder of Entertainment Network. And how do we get him to get a TED Talk? His book was called Off Script: How to Get What
Mm.
You Want by Not Doing What They Want, basically. Now, wait a minute. That sounds counterintuitive. And that's what got their attention, you know? So
Mhm.
you've got to have a title that's going to grab their attention, and you have to have a unique take on your subject. I've got another person I'm working with. They do tiny homes. They want to sell tiny homes. Well, you can't sell from the TEDx stage. That's not one thing you can do, but you can become the global expert. So we work with their subject on how a tiny home can solve the housing crisis. Things,
Mm.
different angles like that. Now,
Mhm.
I want to give your guests a free tool that'll do it for them. If you go to ideascore.ai, www.ideascore.ai, put your ideas, your stories in there, and it's going to do that for you, absolutely free.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. And why is it that there's a lot of people out there that want to get their message out. They kind of think that they've got an idea, but then they get stuck. And they get stuck at what phase? Do they get stuck at the idea phase, or do they get stuck at I want to do this, but I'm scared and I don't have the confidence, so I'm just not going to do it.
They get stuck trying to take that first step out the door. Yeah, I'm not sure if my idea will work. I don't even know how to book a TED talk. I'm scared. I'm worried about my background isn't good enough. Maybe the idea is not good. That's where they get stuck. And that's why I wanted to give that tool so they can go to that tool. Nobody's going to watch. Nobody's going to see. It's going to be just for you, and it'll give you that idea if it's a good idea. And the most important step in any journey is that first step, right?
Right.
So if they've done that, okay, you've gotten over a little bit of that fear. You've gotten over a little bit of that lack of self-confidence, or maybe it's not a good idea, and it'll help you on that journey.
And with thousands of people, I know there's all kinds of people applying constantly to do this. The thing that you're saying to stand out is to be unique and be countercultural and have a cool title. What else is involved in this?
First of all, you've got to find the best venue for you specifically, because not all TEDx talks are equal. Some of them are going to have thousands and thousands of views naturally. Thousands of people go to that one to watch it online or in person. Others will have tens of views, you know, not the best
Mm.
one. So you've got to do your research on that. You've got to find the one that is going to match up with your subject. Each of them has a theme for their specific event, and you need to see which one your subject will best match up with. And then, not all of them, most of them have a multi camera shoot. And this is important for all you wannabe speakers out there. Most of them have a professional multi camera shoot. So, for the people that come to me, I want to learn how to become a professional speaker. Cool, shoot me over your speaker reel. Well, I don't have one. Okay, that's your first step. When you have, it's one of the many huge benefits of this TEDx stuff. When you go there, you get footage from a professional multi camera shoot that you can use for your speaker footage, or you can post on your website, or you can use in your social media. But you want to make sure it's one that does that. And inside my coaching program, I actually have an AI tool that matches you up with your best ones. You can do it yourself, or it's within that program too, as well.
So that's interesting. So did you have somebody helping? It sounds like you had somebody helping you a little bit as you were preparing, and then you kind of just figured out a lot, and then now you're helping other people. Is that what kind of happened once you went viral?
Yeah, yeah. To begin with, and this is something else to know, everybody. Um, you're going to have a coach when you book your talk. Okay, now you've got to have a lot of your talk put together already. And again, I've got tools that do that, but that's besides the point. But you've got to have your thing put together. But then they're going to assign you a coach. And I'm a professional speaker. I've been doing it forever. My coach was fantastic. He really,
That's
really,
great.
he's helped me out so much. So you're not going to be alone on this also. You're going to have help going into it.
Who funds that? Do you have to pay a fee to do that or to be participating, or is it funded through TEDx, or how's that funded?
Yeah, another
I've
another
always,
great question. I really appreciate these. These are I don't normally get asked these questions. This is great. Um,
because I know the people that watch this and they will be wanting to know.
yeah, and that's who we want
So,
to help. They are all
yeah.
locally funded. You do not pay to be a TEDx speaker, and you do not get paid to be a TEDx speaker. So to run the event, and also important to know, so that local venue, first of all, they have to raise money to just put on the event, to pay for stuff. And then they want to make sure they get butts in seats. And that's why it's so important that you've got some topic that they can promote out that people go, wow, I want to see that. I want to be a part of that. And that's what pays for the whole thing. So yeah, it's unfunded besides the self-funding. It's people who are passionate about helping people get their ideas out, just like you're doing.
What's one of your favorite stories about a TEDx speaker?
I think I think, yeah, I gotta say, it might sound self-serving, but my own.
Yeah, because you lived it, right?
I
You lived
lived
it.
it. I felt the pain, the knowing that, nobody's listening to me and I don't know what to do next and all of that, and then to go through it and do it the hard way. I didn't have all the tools that we put together now, right? But then for me, and again, you know my background, okay? So I'm not trying to be too cool. You know who I really am, right? And then to have
Mhm.
it be the number 2 new TEDx in the world and be called one of the 30 most. I mean, it's, and of course now getting on podcasts, not so hard, number 1 bestseller in Wall Street Journal, the speaking fees are crazy and all that kind of stuff. I've seen personally how life-changing it is. And since I went through the process, I've learned a lot about how to help people actually do it. So, yeah, that's kind of the deal.
So what kind of mindset shifts did you have to make, to really step into that role? Because when you said, "Oh, yeah, I'm going to speak, but I'll probably have a few people listen," and then you had to make some mindset shifts to just make those steps, right? You didn't just make them. So what was going on internally there?
Yeah, and I think this is important for everybody from not just speaking about a TEDx talk, but anytime you're talking, anytime you want to make a difference in the world using the power of the human voice, your voice it's all about helping the people that you want to help in the way you want to help them, or the animals, or the environment, or whatever it is. Too many people get stage fright. They get wrapped around the axle and get worried and all that because they're thinking of the wrong thing. They're thinking about themselves. Oh, I
Mm,
hope people don't laugh at me. I hope I don't look stupid. I hope I don't forget things. Get over yourself. It's not
mm,
about you. It's about those people you want to help. So one of the things that I train people on is visualize the person that you want to help and in the way you want to help them. Visualize them, you not helping them to begin with. What does that look like? How does that feel? Or those
mm,
animals? If you don't make that difference in the world or that environment, whatever it is, visualize if you don't do it. How does that feel? Well, that feels terrible. Okay, look at it some
mm,
more. Emotion, not factors, the driver of all action. How does that feel? Terrible. Okay, now turn it around. Your word got out. You got over yourself. It's not about you. You convinced people to help you in your charge, in your vision, in your passion. Those people, those animals, that area, whatever, got helped. What's that look like now? Well, it looks
mm.
fantastic. Okay. Can you get over worrying about yourself and how you're going to look so you can make that difference in the world? I can do that. Let's do it.
So what I love that, and I think about advice right now. There's so many people that are struggling to find their authentic self and get out there and do something that's bold
Hmm.
and that take that step. Okay, what would you be your advice? I
Um,
know we said just
uh,
step, but I want to hear some more things. Like what would be the true advice you'd give them?
yeah, absolutely. I'm going to say something that might sound counterintuitive to what you're saying, but it's not. It's
Okay.
completely in line with it. Don't worry about your authentic self. Worry about what
Mhm.
you stand for, the difference you want to make, because in truth, that is your authentic self. Don't worry about defining yourself or looking for those attributes, etc. No, no, no. Find the difference you want to make in the world. What change do you want to make? That's going to speak more volumes about who you are than any other thing ever will. Does that make sense?
It sure does. And I think because people feel like they have to go find it or they compare themselves to other people. And I think you're sharing values that are important, which is meaningful work and sharing something that's going to make a difference.
Yeah.
And I think to everybody, it might be something unique, but I think I know when I haven't felt it is when I get that gut feeling that something doesn't feel right and I'm trying to do something that's not me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, so that's an opposite way of looking at it as well, is like,
Absolutely.
"This doesn't feel like me. This
Yeah.
isn't who I am."
It's not in
And
line with what you are truly, honestly passionate about. Yeah.
yeah. So in your as we kind of roll out and kind of wrap up this afternoon, you have several messages that you've shared. Tell us a little bit about your TEDx message and why you chose that.
So 92% of the people who set a goal fail. 92%. And there's a reason why. Most of what we are teaching people about goal setting is wrong. It's absolutely dead wrong or incomplete. And I found the missing link that helped me skyrocket from failing, failing, failing to doing really, really well. And I knew this, and the people who were around me were listening because they saw my success, but nobody else would. And when I finally got it out there and then put it into a book and everything else, it got called, what was it? The biggest advancement in the science of goal setting in recent history by one of the 50 best brains in science. And all these accolades from academia and everything else. They had never heard of it before. And it was a great
Mm,
idea. So the reason I tell that story is because your listeners, these ideas you've got are really good ideas, y'all, or else they wouldn't be in your heart. Okay. Just because other
mhm.
people aren't listening right now doesn't mean it's not a fantastic idea. You just haven't gotten out there. I mean, it's just like you could have the greatest TV show in the world, but if nobody hears about it, then it goes nowhere. You got to market it. You got to get it out there. And that's why the TEDx stage is so powerful to give you that microphone out to the world if you do it right.
I love that. And really just sharing from your heart, it
Yeah.
sounded like where it came from. So as we close out, what is something on your mind that's coming up for you right now that I didn't ask you, or you wish I would have asked you, or that's just coming up that you want to make sure our audience hears from you today?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, a couple of resources. Again, I'll give that one URL, ideascore.ai. You can go there, just put
Mhm.
your idea in there. In fact, I was on another podcast a little earlier today, and this guy had this fantastic book he was proud of. I said, "Well, go over and put the PDF of the book in this thing." And because you're like, I kind of thought about doing a TEDx, but I don't know, if it would really work. So put the PDF in there. And he just emailed
Yeah.
me. It's on my screen here, and it gave him these killer ideas. It's so fun. So
Good.
it is. The other one, if you just want to hear about the program, theviralstageinfo.com. Theviralstageinfo.com is a webinar I did about the program. But I want to end with this. Whether you do that or not is beside the point. That's up to you. But please, you can make that difference in the world. You have the power of the human voice. If you just get over yourself, stop worrying about yourself and worry about the people, the things you're going to help, you've got the ideas that can do it. Stop holding back. Stop being in fear and stop sitting on your butt. Take that first step, whatever it is for you, and make that difference in the world.
Well, thank you, Terry, for being a difference maker and now showing other people how to do that on TEDx and other channels that you're working with as you work with them as speakers. So I appreciate you sharing that story. And hopefully from today, some of our listeners will get out there and get that message out that they've been kind of holding in and not really feeling confident about getting out there. But we're just glad you're here with us today, and appreciate you sharing your resources, and look forward to hearing about all these speaker stories coming forward in the next months and weeks to come. So thank you. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for everything you're doing, Dana. You get out there and make it a great day, of course.
Okay. Thanks.